You're listening to the Holistic Health Front podcast.
Whether you've already taken steps towards a healthier life,
or you're just starting to explore this path,
this podcast aims to help all of us live longer and more energized lives,
so we can all do the things we want and be the person we know we can be.
We bring on functional health experts, parents, professionals, and everyday people who want to make positive changes in their lives.
And we create powerful conversations about how to feel good in a fun, easy, and understandable way,
so you can live the most fulfilling life possible.
Enjoy today's discussion and let us hear your thoughts in our Powerful People Facebook group.
The information presented in this podcast is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease.
If you have any questions about your health or the health of a loved one, please consult your healthcare practitioner.
Now let's begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Holistic Health Front podcast. Today, we are talking about sleep, how to fall asleep easier, how to get more restful sleep, and how to wake up with more energy. Today, it is a dual header between Courtney and I. We're going to be taking this on. Hey, Courtney.
Hi. How is everybody? I'm so glad you're here.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here too. Thank you. I know we had a couple people text us today and said, hey, we had some stuff come up, couldn't make it. And so Courtney and I are going to be the brave ones who take this on regardless. Courtney asked, are we going to do this still? And I said, yes, we are.
Fantastic, because I love sleep. It's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm an avid sleeper. I do it every day. I've been doing it for 30 plus years. So I think that we're a couple experts here.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It hasn't always been easy, but boy, do I try to get the best sleep I can every night.
Yeah, right. Doesn't it? I mean, for the most part, I mean, we're very adaptable creatures, right? Like we can handle if, we get a bad night of sleep, that's okay. But if a couple of nights consecutively stack up on top of each other of poor sleep, wow, does it really derail things?
Yes, it does.
It's almost like a sick day,
Yeah. Yeah. Your body feels sluggish. You're not thinking right. Yeah. You're eating more than you need to because your body's looking for that quick fix, lots of sugar. And you're just, it can actually be dangerous if you're super tired and you're driving a car. That's not good for you or the others on the road because it does, it does affect your faculties and your response time and your decision making.
Yeah, so many things, and we're going to dive into all of this in this episode. I just want to acknowledge the people listening right now. I know that most people who are in our audience, at least at this moment right now, most people, they understand that sleep is important, right? They don't need to be told that sleep is important. They get it. They're like, yes, I know. I need to get better sleep at night. I want to get better sleep at night. But whenever I lay down, my mind starts racing. I feel all this energy. I remember all the things that I was supposed to do, but I didn't do today. Or they're waking up in the morning and they're just like struggling to get out of bed. It's, hitting the snooze alarm over and over again. Feeling like I just started getting comfy. I just started dreaming and you're my alarm clock's cutting me off of my dream at the best part. Things like that. Right.
Right.
So I know, and I can totally relate. I mean, sleep has been one of the biggest struggles for me throughout my life, especially the past few years. Mostly because I've been, I've had a pretty high level of stress over the past few years. So I think that had a big part to do with it. And I actually track my sleep with an Oura ring. I don't know if you're familiar with the Oura ring.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Do you wear it all day or just at night?
Usually I wear it all day. It's charging right now, so it's not on my fingers, but it's a ring, and it's spelled O-U-R-A, Oura. And the ring, it tracks your sleep scores. Like, it lets you know how restful your sleep was, how much time did you actually sleep. of that time, how much of it was deep sleep, how much of it was REM cycle, how much of it was light sleep. And then it also tracks other cool things. And this episode is not sponsored by Aura. I just use it and I like it, but there's other ones too. But what I've noticed though, since I've started tracking my sleep, I've been tracking it for a few years now, that chronically, there's a part of the tracking that is called restfulness. How restful was your sleep? And chronically, mine's in the red. Even if I get 8-9 hours of sleep, still restfulness in the red. And, it's been getting a little better because I've been doing some very intentional things to try to like combat that or try to make that better. But it has been a struggle for me over the years. And actually, I'm really grateful because the program that we graduated from recently, not starting to not be recently anymore.
No, April. 6 months ago almost.
Right. Yeah. And there were some sections in that program where we talked about sleep specifically. And I took away some really good stuff from that. And I'm really excited to share some of that during this episode. But essentially what we'll do here is we'll start by talking about, first, like I said, most people know that sleep is important, but I also have noticed that there's a lot of people online who are searching, why is sleep important? People want to know, why is sleep important? So we can start there, acknowledging, yes, I know many of you listening probably already know why sleep is important, but we'll keep it kind of brief. But I guess personally for you, Courtney, why is sleep important for you? What does sleep, a good night of sleep, do for you versus a bad night of sleep? What does that take from you?
Well, when I wake up feeling rested, fully rested and refreshed, I'm ready to take on my day. And I'm the kind of person who has most of my productive energy is in the morning hours of the day. I naturally wake up early, between 5:30 or 6. I don't use an alarm to get up, and I feel very fortunate that I don't need that. And when I get a good night of sleep, I'm just ready for my day. I feel good. I feel calm. I feel grounded. I'm ready to go. Versus if I've had a restless night of sleep, I'm just really sluggish, and I'm not acting as quick. I don't exercise, or I choose a lighter form of exercise. I do feel that I eat a little bit more and I crave a little bit more of simple carbohydrates, just so my body can get back to it. And it's hard. And all day I look forward to, God, I can't wait until it's 8:30 and I can get back into bed, because that is in the forefront, just focusing on getting another, trying again. Let's try again next night. So it does affect me, and it's hard. And if I have a couple of nights like that, which happens on occasion, it's really hard. And when recently this year, I went through a breakup and I moved from the United States to the Virgin Islands, and that whole process was difficult as well. And my sleep was definitely affected, and it did affect my day to day, and my digestion, and my dreaming, and my quality of life. It was hard. It was hard. But when I got back here, I was like, okay, it's time to really start focusing on better sleep habits. And I implemented many, actually. Well, not many, but a few. And I'm getting good nights of sleep more often than not. I mean, every now and again, it happens for whatever reason. I know some people are affected by the full moon. Usually I'm affected by the full moon, but this past full moon, the night before and the night of the full moon, I had some of the best sleep ever, which is odd because I have screen walls. So I'm kind of in outdoor living in a way. And it comes right in. My house is so bright. And for me to sleep through both of those nights was pretty amazing. And then the next couple of nights after the full moon, I struggled. And I don't know why. I
Mm.
don't know why. I think something's in retrograde.
Mm. Hmm. And we'll definitely in this episode we're going to get into some like cool tips or strategies that we've implemented and tested to
Yeah.
share with people of things that they could potentially try that could help them. But it's amazing. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that whenever I get a bad night of sleep, I, like you mentioned, exercise out the door. I tend to eat more unhealthy during those days. And I tend to have just like this a more negative outlook on things, right? I like to
Right.
pride myself on being a pretty positive guy, but I definitely struggle on those days to remain positive on things, or I tend to be a little bit more pessimistic on those days, which has a big impact on everything, right? That impact on your energy has a ripple effect in other places of life, and the way that you show up in life, and the things that you do, and the quality of the things that you do in your life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how finicky sleep can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
If just one thing goes off, it could potentially derail that night of sleep.
Yeah.
If you don't have an intentional plan or an intentional routine to help with it. But I've definitely experienced that where, it seems kind of slippery, right? Like everything could be going well, and then just one thing happens, and then you lay down in bed and you're thinking about it. And then next thing you know, you've been laying in bed for hours, and you're still awake, and you're asking yourself, why am I still awake? I have to get up early tomorrow. I have to go to work, or whatever it is, right?
And that just makes it worse when you start to question, why am I still awake? Because it makes, like, for me, it makes me anxious, for sure. But if I had an interaction or something didn't go quite the way I wanted it to go during my day, and it's unresolved, my mind will just run and run and run. And that affects my sleep too. And I'm sure I'm not alone.
Yeah. It's really, it's really important to have this mindset that it's not about being perfect. And if we expect perfection, if we expect to lay down and be asleep within 20 minutes and then react negatively if we're not asleep within 20 minutes, it really has this negative domino effect. But if we can kind of let go of that expectation, that expectation of perfection, and just be okay with where we are and just try to relax and breathe into it. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about this. I don't want to skip ahead, but that's what would allow us to kind of peacefully drift off into sleep, versus we're not going to think ourselves to sleep, right? Or we're not going to worry ourselves to sleep.
Right.
Easier said than done. This episode is brought to you by oxygen and carbon dioxide. Breathe deep, breathe slow. Are you tired of nagging headaches, body pains, and feeling like you've been steamrolled by 2 p.m.? Want to feel more alive with a clearer mind, voice, and skin?
Yep.
And not to mention getting rid of that pesky BO when the deodorant starts to wear off?
Ew.
Introducing to you today, water. Did you know that 75% of American adults are chronically dehydrated? And did you know that majority of people who are dehydrated think that they actually are hydrated? That means most people are not drinking enough water. But if they did, and they realized how much of a massive difference it makes in how they feel to be hydrated, they would realize that water can change their life. So drink more water. Aim for 96 fluid ounces per day minimum for adults. Side effects include peeing more often the first couple of weeks, but don't worry, it will slow down soon. I know I should really drink less caffeine. I just wish there was some way of getting energy in the morning without a coffee. The sun! Wait a minute. I feel good. Especially when I close my eyes and stare at the sun through my eyelids. Wow, this is great. I think I'm ready to crush this day now. Thanks, sun. The Sun. Use it for free with care. Hey y'all, hope you've enjoyed these goofy little commercials. The information is all accurate and valid, so please use the tips we shared. Even though we're having fun and being silly recording them, they're still 100% meant to support you and entertain you. We'll be getting back to the show in just a minute, but first, I want to really encourage you to join our free community on Facebook. It's called the Powerful People Community, and it's a place where you can interact with other listeners of the show, including me, our other coaches and co-hosts and everybody. And it's a place where you can ask questions publicly or anonymously. You can request episode topics, you can share your story, and celebrate with a group of really amazing people who will also be celebrating you. So we really hope to see you in the community. We think we're building something really special because we believe when you bring together a group of powerful people, there's just so many great things we can do in this world, more than we could do on our own. So we're building a special community, and we hope to talk to you there soon. Now, let's get back to the show. To keep going down on this question, why sleep is important, is what we just talked about, right? It affects so many different areas of our life. It affects our relationships. It affects our mood. It affects our brain capacity. It affects our the physical energy that we can exert, our emotions, etc. But also, when we're sleeping, that's the time when our body is repairing itself. And this is really vital for our body because every single day, especially in this world that we're living in today, this kind of society we're living in today, our body takes a lot of, I guess you could say damage for lack of better words. Like it takes some damage. It takes damage each day, whether it's from inflammation or toxins in the environment or stress levels, hormonal imbalances, whatever it is. And sure, we are extremely adaptable creatures, so that even if we get a bad night of sleep, like we're usually okay.
Right.
But if you extend that night over week over week over month, then the body is at a serious disadvantage and it's not repairing itself. And all the damage that it's taken over this time is compounding. And it's creating the kind of environment that disease can thrive in and that toxins can enter and really make a big splash of what's going on inside of you.
And inflammation can set in as well. And I always like to think about sleep as it's the time where my body is processing all the stimuli from the day and putting your memories where they need to go and making sense of whatever it needs to make sense. And then it takes out the garbage. So that sleep is so important to get rid of all the stuff that has built up in our bodies. So we're fresh and ready with a clean garbage can in the morning.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. They say that the sleep time is when your brain digests, right? So after we eat a meal, our digestive tract digests our food, right? But while we're sleeping, that's when our brain digests all of those emotions, feelings, thoughts, memories, everything. And it puts them in its appropriate places, or it throws it out, like you said. And that's extremely important for us, right? Because if we keep carrying that baggage over day, it can get really heavy up here. And I think that a lot of times we'll talk a little bit more about mental health and how it connects with sleep. But yeah, that it causes has a big impact on our mental health over time as well. So I think that we can all agree, the two of us on this call and everybody listening, that sleep is important, right? And yes. And another question that comes up is, will sleep deprivation kill you? And here's the thing. Will sleep deprivation kill you? Not immediately, right? It's like the put a frog in room temperature water and slowly boil it type of effect. I don't know if you've heard that, but there's a saying like, this analogy. How do you kill a frog? Do you put it in a boiling pot of water? No, it's going to jump out because it's hot. If you put it in room temperature water and you slowly boil it and it doesn't notice that it's getting hotter and hotter until it's too late, that's kind of the same thing here, right? So sleep deprivation, one night of sleep deprivation will not kill you, no. But years of sleep deprivation, I think I think there's plenty of studies that show that there's a strong link between sleep deprivation and chronic disease. And a lot of those chronic diseases, which are the big killers. So you could say, yes, sleep deprivation does kill, but it's not that extreme. So if you get a bad night of sleep, don't worry, you're not dying. You're okay. But it is extremely important, as we talked about.
Yeah, it's a good sleep is linked to good health. Just like, good health is also linked to making smart food choices. Good health is linked to being a part of a strong community. It's just, there's so much in the wheel, and you want to find balance in that wheel.
Mm. Yeah. So I think the people listening right now are saying, okay, I get it. Cool. Yeah. Sleep important. It could kill me, but it's not going to kill me right away. Don't worry if I get a bad night of sleep. But also be intentional about getting better sleep. How do I get better sleep? How do I fall asleep faster, easier, and without all the stress that goes with trying to force yourself to sleep?
Right. I think a big thing for a lot of people right now is screen time. And screen time late at night keeps your brain active. And when it's dark out, getting close to bedtime, you want to be in a place that's dimmer. And what I mean by that is not all your lights are off, but your screen is on. You want to really start to dim the lights so your body is responding and saying, oh, this is the time for sleep. This is the time to relax. This is the time to get tired, time to settle in. And also caffeine. If you're drinking caffeine late at night, that can do it, or anything sugary, or even dinner. If you're having dinner just an hour or 30 minutes before you go to bed, that can have an effect on your sleep as well. You want to give your body time to digest that, so your digestion is done, and that part of your body can rest too. And alcohol plays a big factor as well, because alcohol will, even though it feels like you get tired from the alcohol as it's breaking down in your body throughout the night, you do wake up during that as part of the breakdown process. So that can give you some disrupted sleep as well. So there's, things to set up your evening properly, like make a, depending on when you go to bed. Like, for example, I like to get into bed at 8:30 or 9 my time, and I like my screen's off by 7:30. I like to be done with dinner by 6:30. I like to dim all of my lights and listen to all the bugs. I'm sure you guys can hear all the critters out there that are chirping, and the frogs that are chirping too, and just settle in. And I like to pick up a book and read. And once it hits 8:30, I take that book to bed, and I relax, and I fall asleep reading. And that's one of my best ways to fall asleep. And usually I can slip right in. Usually.
Yeah, I just realized, I just thought of that. The bugs in the background, like the noise, the sounds coming from your background is kind of perfect for this episode. If anybody wants to fall asleep easier, what we do is just, Courtney, you and I are just going to sit here in silence and let the bugs play, and maybe put on some soft music, and there you go.
Exactly. The buggy soundscape will be, a link to that will be in the show notes.
Yeah, that's good. As far as the dimming the lights go and the screen time goes, completely agreed. I mean, that makes a huge difference in my routine as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm not perfect with it, right? Like, there are nights where I'm, I like to watch YouTube videos sometimes and just learn interesting things. And sometimes I'm listening to it or watching it at night. And by night, I mean 8 o'clock. I'm not up super late, but part of my routine every night is we have salt lamps all throughout our apartment. So most of our rooms have salt lamps, right? And salt lamps, Himalayan sea salt lamps, you can find them on Amazon pretty easily. I tend to choose the ones from Pakistan because they are usually real salt versus there's some plastic ones out there that aren't really as beneficial. But even still, for this purpose, it would be. But when the sun sets, all of our big lights go off and we only have salt lamps on. And it just creates this amazing vibe in the house. It's really an indicator to our bodies. I say my girlfriend and I, we were actually just talking about it this weekend, how it really is an indicator to our body, and we can feel it start to happen. As soon as the lights go off and the salt lamps go on, we're just like very chill and we start talking a little quieter, and we're doing things off of our computers, our phones. We're spending time together, or we're playing, like I play the guitar sometimes, or we're reading, things like that. But it makes a big difference. And along the lines of the screen time, I've been practicing for a few years something called Amish Hour, which is pretty much what you described. But when the sun goes down, like the hour before bed, I try to keep it to pretty as close to what an Amish person would have. Like, I'm not watching TV, not listening to music on the radio or anything like that. The radio, like it's 20 years ago. I mean, the Bluetooth or whatever, the radio.
I still listen to the radio in my car.
Do you? Oh, that's cool.
I do, yeah.
Fun fact, I used to work in radio for a few years back in the day.
Nice.
But yeah, something called Amish Hour, where essentially you turn off the big lights, get off the phone, get off the computer, and do something that's like physically tangible right here, It's a good time to write. It's a good time to read. It's a good time, like I said, I play the guitar, or just sit and talk with your partner or whoever, or lay with your pets and pet them. But
yeah, or this is a good time to form a gratitude practice. Grab a journal and start writing 3 things that you're grateful for, or start to write about your day, or even write about things that bothered you or things you want to take care of tomorrow. That way you can dump it out on the page and your brain is not thinking like, oh, you got to remember this for tomorrow. It's on the page and you can look at it on the next day. Yeah.
Our bodies it's amazing how we can train our bodies almost like a pet, right? Or a baby. If we start consistently giving our body these indicators that it's time for bed, it's going to come along with us, right?
It's a good habit.
And it doesn't have to look the same for every person, but having a very intentional nightly routine helps a lot, like for us, we always look forward to our face routine or our hygiene routine at night, right? So washing our face, hydrating it, brushing our teeth, flossing. Yeah, we kind of make a thing out of it, right? Like it's almost like our nightly date where we go to do our routine. And then once our routine is done, I put on my blue blocker glasses, which are the funny looking orange lens glasses. And that makes a big difference as well. Right. And salt lamps are on, blue blockers are on. Might lay in bed and read a little bit.
Sleep party.
It's a good vibe.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, right. And yeah, it's just such a great holistic way to really connect with yourself and just be, instead of distracting and trying to do 100 different things, just really be and feel and there's no rush either. You can move a little slower. But what happens if you lay in bed and your mind starts going and you find yourself not slipping away really easily, peacefully? What's your strategy for those moments?
There's a couple of things that I'll do. If it's not too late, I will turn the lamp back on, and I'll read some more. If I'm feeling that it's too late and I don't want that light, I will either count from 100 down. I Another thing I really like is sleep meditations. And there are sleep stories, which are just so fun to listen to, and it gets your mind off of whatever's going on. So for me, my mind will focus on the story, and I don't even know what the end of it is. And there are some stories that I've started to listen to a couple of times, and I have no idea how it ends up, and that's fine with me. And there's also Yoga Nidra, which I love, and that is, you can find that we're not endorsed by this, by either. I use the Calm app and I use Insight Timer. I like both of them, and they each have their great offerings. Insight Timer does have a lot of Yoga Nidra, and that's about focusing on different parts of the body, and it's incredibly relaxing. And it also gets your mind away from the spin and focusing on your fingertip, the other fingertip, the next fingertip. And it's kind of like a body scan in a way, but it's a much deeper body scan. And often I won't be awake to the end of it. And that feels good.
That's called Yoga Nidra?
Yoga Nidra, Nidra.
Okay. Nidra.
I've been to Yoga Nidra classes also, and it's just about getting into restorative yoga poses and just relaxing into the present moment.
Oh, that's good. I've never heard of that, but I'll have to try it sometime.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's really, really good stuff.
Something that came up in the program that was really interesting to me, and when I say the program, I'm referring to IIN, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is the program that Courtney and I both graduated from recently-ish. And one thing that they talked about in this program is falling asleep at night is kind of like landing a plane. I really like this analogy. It really resonated with me. When you're flying in a plane at maximum altitude, you're flying above the clouds, right? So it's a little more smooth. It's more of a smooth ride. Imagine that as being awake, right? You're above the clouds. You can distract yourself with things. So you don't have to deal with the emotions that are hiding under the surface or the worrisome thoughts that are somewhere in the back of the head. So when you lay down in bed, it's imagine that as the beginning of the descent, right? The plane is starting to come down, and in order for the plane to come down and land, it has to go through the clouds. Now imagine going through the clouds is where you have that, you're laying down, you're starting to feel comfortable, but then you remember there was something that you meant to do today and you didn't do it. Or this worrisome thought pops up of, oh, what if something doesn't work out in the future, or whatever it might be, whatever kind of thoughts come up that stimulate you and make you feel either worried or anything really. Those thoughts, that's the turbulence as you're going through the clouds. And what most people do when that happens is they stop the plane right there and they're like, nope, right back up above the clouds. I'm getting up. I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go eat something. I'm going to watch a movie, whatever. They try to distract themselves so that they can pull that plane up above the clouds and get back up to that peaceful cruising speed. And then what they typically do is they stay up until they're on the brink of exhaustion and their body has no choice but to fall asleep, which is really not healthy for us. What we want to do instead is ride it out through those clouds. Let those thoughts come up. Let those feelings come up, and don't try to fight it. Just feel it and let it be. Yeah. And it's okay. If there's something really important that you forgot to do today or that you need to do tomorrow that you don't want to forget or whatever, I keep a journal right next to my bed, and you can just very easily grab that journal really quick, write that thing down, close it, put it back. Boom. Now it's not in your head anymore. You have it right there. You're not going to forget it. You don't need to do it right now. And you're good, right? But let yourself go through that turbulence. It's very important. You need to feel that turbulence because, like we said, the brain goes into its digestive mode at night. So feeling that turbulence is actually part of the digestion. You're in the beginning stages of that digestion, and it's going to pass. If you don't fight it, if you let it be and you just feel it and breathe and just try to relax as much as you can, you're going to get through those clouds. And now you're back to a smooth landing, and eventually you fall asleep. Typically, the reason why we're up for hours and struggling to fall asleep is because we're busy worrying about the fact that we're still awake, or we're judging ourselves for not being able to fall asleep, right? If we can just let it go, let it be, then it doesn't have that power over us as much anymore, and we can just drift. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fall asleep right away. It doesn't mean that this is like the fast path to falling asleep. It might take a little bit, but the more you can be okay with feeling these feelings, the quicker it's going to come. It is going to come, right? So I like that. That's one of my favorite sleep analogies. And I've started testing that because that's something that I've struggled with for years, especially after my mom passed away and my dad passed away. My brother passed away. There was a lot of trauma there. And at night, that's when those things would come up, right? I'd be busy all day, so I didn't have time to think and feel about these things. But then at night, that's when those feelings would come up, and it's like, oh, like it feels like somebody's grabbing your stomach and twisting. And I would jump out of bed at the first feeling of that and try start pacing and thinking, what do I do? What do I do? I'm feeling these things and it's really uncomfortable. I didn't realize that, no, this is really good. I need to feel this. When you feel these emotions, you're actually expanding your nervous system, which means that you're expanding your nervous system's ability to hold these kinds of feelings, these kinds of stimulations, and work through it. So yeah, that's the analogy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and we all have those things, right? Like your parents don't have to die in order for you to feel anxiety at night. And you don't have to feel guilty about feeling anxiety at night,
right?
Because you didn't go through something so extreme, right?
Yeah. I mean, anything that bugs you can cause you anxiety at night. Anything. It's you and how you deal with it. And yeah, feeling the feelings, that's good. That is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another question that comes up quite a bit on the internet is, which sleep aid is most effective? Like, what's something that you can take or do? Now, we've already talked about like things that we can do to improve our sleep, but what are some things you can take, whether supplements or not decaffeinated teas or whatever it is, that can help improve your sleep? Do you have anything that you like?
I do. I like to take valerian. I'll take that occasionally, and that is very calming to me. I also am a huge believer in magnesium, and I've been taking magnesium regularly, and my sleep has been getting better. And I was taking it in the morning with my regular vitamin and supplement regimen, and I thought, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I started taking the magnesium closer to bed. And I have noticed a difference with taking it closer to bed. I mean, we need magnesium for just about every single function in our body. And a lot of our food in the American diet it doesn't have as much magnesium as it used to have. And caffeine will zap magnesium from you. Alcohol will zap magnesium from you. So if you have a lifestyle that involves alcohol and or caffeine, it's definitely worth talking to your medical professional and getting on a supplement for that. That I do like magnesium. I also like tart cherry, which that is a precursor to building melatonin. So it helps your body to build melatonin. And if I know that, like, I really need to sleep tonight, I will take a little shot of the tart cherry, and it's tasty, and it does.
Is that like is that like a syrup or something that you can buy? I don't know. Like, does it come in a bottle, or are you eating? You said a shot, so I'm assuming you're not eating
Yeah,
cherries.
it's a thick liquid, and I'm not sure. One of my friends ordered it for me because she was making an order from the place where she ordered it, but it's called Apothecary is the name of the brand, and I've had it. It's like a bottle, maybe this big. I don't know how many ounces it's in there, maybe 16 or so, and I've had it for a while because I don't use it all the time. I don't need it to use it all the time, but it has lasted, and it tastes good. And you can even make a mocktail out of it, after dinner, and mix it with some bubbly water or something like that, and it tastes good that way too.
Oh, that sounds good. I want to try that too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is that? I think that's probably what I would say those are my go-tos.
I'll add to that. I also like to take a vitamin D supplement after my last meal of the day. Vitamin D also helps vitamin D will also help to improve your sleep.
That works with the magnesium.
Yes. But it's a fat soluble. So you want to take it with some fats. So that's why I do it right after or like with my final meal of the day. Which is typically just like typically around 6:30, 7 o'clock at the latest would be my last meal. But I'll take a vitamin D with some kefir, and it's great.
Nice.
Works good.
Yeah.
Yep. And another thing too, I know most people are familiar with melatonin, and there's a ton of melatonin supplements on the market. I'll say that two things. One, melatonin is very effective at getting you to sleep. But I'll say that most melatonin supplements have way too much melatonin in it. They are massively overdosed because they want you to take it and feel something. We don't need that much melatonin. I can't remember what's the typical, I'm going to look it up really quick. Melatonin.
You should take 1 or 2 milligrams. You shouldn't really take more than that because it can affect your dreams, and it can also give you a hangover the next day, like a melatonin hangover. And I used to take melatonin, and for me, my experience was that it would wake me up in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know if the melatonin wore off or something. I don't know what was going on, but I noticed that pattern. So I don't take it anymore. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah. In most melatonin supplements on the market are like 5 or 10 milligrams. So you said 1 or 2 max. Most on the market, 5 to 10 milligrams, super highly dosed.
Yeah.
That's just causing so many issues. And like you said, when that wears off, it's almost like a shock to the body because it was so drugged essentially with this thing. And then when it wears off, it's going to wake you up, or it's either going to wake you up in the middle of the night and you're going to feel like a zombie and have no idea where you're at, or you're going to sleep through the night, but you're going to wake up in the morning feeling exhausted.
Yes.
Right. So if I were to take I don't regularly take a melatonin supplement. I would like to, but living in Mexico, it's hard to find a good, melatonin supplement that isn't highly overdosed. I think the best way to go about that is to take a liquid melatonin supplement instead of a pill, because you can control the dose a little bit better with that. Those are some of the things like that we would say sleep aids that are most effective. Now, again, bioindividuality, every person is different, and your needs are different from my needs versus somebody else's needs. So for each individual listening to this, it's really up to you to kind of test and see what works for you, right? Just because tart cherry works really well for Courtney, or just because taking a vitamin D with dinner works really well for me, it may not be the same for you. You may not even have a vitamin D deficiency. Most people do, but your bio-individual needs are what's most important. So it's really important for you to be open-minded and just test things and be okay. If something doesn't work, that's okay. It doesn't mean it's a failure that it didn't work. It just means that you're getting more information about what works and what doesn't work for you. And there's no way that anybody, us or anybody, can sit on a podcast and tell you what's best for you. You know what's best for you, or you are the one who can discover what's best for you.
Yeah.
Through trial and error. Mhm.
Indeed. There's a lot of that.
And there's usually a lot more error than there, like there's a lot of error in finding what's good, right? And so
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay if something doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean nothing's ever going to work for you. It just means that this one thing didn't work for you, and it's expected that most things aren't going to be exactly what you need. It's just a matter of finding what it is and falling in love with that process of testing and trying new things, right?
Exactly. The process, the discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to try the tart cherry. You brought it up. I'm definitely going to get some and try it out.
Nice.
But
You have to
I'm
let
not
me
gonna
know.
Try it out. Yeah, definitely will. And I'm totally okay with the fact that I could take that tart cherry and it has absolutely no effect on how I fall asleep at night. It might. It probably will. It might. But
Yeah.
I'm totally okay if it doesn't. I'm really excited to try it anyways. And even if it doesn't work for me, I'm going to keep it and make some mocktails with it with some
There you
bubbly
go.
water in my mint plant over here that I'm growing.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Yum.
Oh, we make homemade virgin mojitos pretty often because we grow our own mint. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh,
So
nice.
good. Mm-hmm.
And I love mint, especially peppermint.
Me too. Me too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is that. So the question that people ask online often: how to fall asleep fast? How can I fall asleep faster? Well, the mindset that you take into going to sleep has a big impact on this. You can't make yourself fall asleep fast, but you can make yourself stay up longer by worrying or judging yourself for not falling asleep or expecting that you should have fallen asleep but you didn't or anything like that. To fall asleep fast, just allow yourself to feel your feelings that come up, to think your thoughts that come up. Don't try to fight it. Just let it happen and try to breathe through it. Focus on your breath. Focus on feeling your body. Do a scan of your body. And if there's
And when
something
you're
that...
breathing, oh, sorry, Tyler.
No, you're good.
When
You're
you're
good. Go ahead.
breathing, okay. When you're breathing, be sure to breathe from your belly. Like don't breathe in the upper part of your chest because that's associated with fight or flight. So you want to move it down and really stick that belly out when you're taking a nice deep breath and release. And that is going to affect your vagus nerve, which will help you calm down as well. And you can use this technique if you're having a bad day or a bad moment and you're feeling anxious. You can use that diaphragmatic breathing and just calm yourself down. It's a wonderful tool in our body.
Definitely. And we're definitely going to talk more in detail on breathing in future episodes. So no worries. We're going to give you all the goodies there by the time that you hear this episode, because we're recording this a couple months before releasing it. So by the time you hear this episode, there might be an episode out already for you to go check out to get more information about breathing and have a deeper discussion on breath work. Or if it's not already out, it's coming out in a few weeks. So that's a good one. And if you're in bed and you're having these thoughts and you keep thinking about something that's not going away because it's something you have to do or something you forgot to do, whatever it is, I think it's a really good idea to have a notebook next to your bed to where you can just write that down, get it out of your head. I heard an analogy one time that our brain is like a filing cabinet, and thoughts and emotions are the files inside of that file cabinet. And there's only so much room for so many thoughts and emotions inside of that file cabinet before it's overfilling and you can't close it anymore. Or if you try to open it, it gets stuck. But the act of writing something, especially if you use pen and paper, like the combination of writing, like the physicality of the writing with the intentionality of removing that file from your file cabinet and taking it out somewhere else. Imagine that is like kind of an organization process. You're creating more space in your brain to be able to relax and focus on the things that are really important. Like in this moment, sleep, or really in this moment, the nonsense dreams that we have that don't always make sense, but our brain really needs to go through that process, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't remember your dreams, that's totally okay. But if we can get rid of that thing that's on the top of our mind that is causing us this anxiety or causing some sort of reaction inside of our body, we can get rid of it by physically writing it down and removing it from us. Now you're creating the space so that your brain can do the digestion that it really needs to do.
Right. Exactly.
Couldn't
agree more.
Yeah. Now thinking about how to get more restful sleep. So we talked about how to fall asleep easier and faster and like our routine leading up to sleep. But what are some things, how do we get more restful sleep? And I'll share with you what I'm doing, just because I'm still not getting the most perfectly restful sleep. So I want to share with you what I'm doing. I'm curious if there's anything that you have or you do that's different or whatever in addition to that maybe I can learn something here and implement as well. And for me, it's more about the environment inside of my room, right? It's one, I went and spent an uncomfortable amount of money on a mattress, which is totally worth it, by the way. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but it is absolutely worth it. The fact that I look forward to sleep so much because that bed is so comfy. And I have nice pillows and nice sheets and everything like that. That plays a huge role in my restfulness at night. And if you don't have that, if you don't have a comfy sleep setup, it's easy to find yourself tossing and turning at night, trying to find a comfortable position or whatever it is. And I know not everybody can afford to go get, a big expensive mattress. In fact, when I bought the mattress, I didn't think I could afford it either, but I also realized I couldn't afford not to either. Another thing is I try to cool my room down as much as I can. Granted, we don't have air conditioning here. We live in Mexico. It doesn't mean that every place in Mexico doesn't have air conditioning, but it's a little bit less common. So we don't have an air conditioner here. We just have a fan. But I do try to do whatever I can to cool the room down as much as possible because it's just more natural for our body to sleep at lower temperatures. And there's nothing worse than waking up in the middle of the night, sweating or feeling really hot and uncomfortable.
No kidding.
Man. Right.
No kidding. Yeah, I don't have AC either. Well, I do have it in the bedroom, but I don't like to use it because it's drying and I can't hear the night sounds. And I really like to keep everything open. I feel more connected to nature, and I do have a ceiling fan that runs, and I'm in the Caribbean and it's hot. What is it? It's 82 in my house right now. So I do try to make my room as cool as possible. And sometimes, like in the winter, it's great because I need a blanket. But it's summer, and I will sleep with maybe just a sarong over me because it's nice.
What's
and
a
lightweight.
sarong?
Like it's like a rayon fabric. It's maybe the size of a towel, but it's super thin, and it's quick drying. SARONG. They're great to take to the beach.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. Okay. That's cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing I know you touched on it earlier is light as well. I'm very sensitive to light, but even people who don't consider themselves very sensitive to light, our bodies are. We really take cues from light, whether we should be awake or asleep, and even the smallest light. We used to have a phone charger that had a little light on it that indicated that it was charging. And I was like, that's the dumbest invention ever. I don't need to know. I can look at my phone to know if it's charging. But so we threw that thing away and we got a new one. But that's just a little light. I know some people fall asleep with their TV on. I know some people literally, and no judgment. I think it looks cool, so I totally get it. But I know some people fall asleep with like lights hanging over their bed, like decorative type lights or Christmas lights. Even I've seen that. I get it. It looks cool, but it's not conducive to a good sleep environment, right?
No, it's definitely not. And I've heard recommendations to even wear sleep masks. And I love that idea. And I also love waking up with the sun. And if I've got a sleep mask on, that's more difficult because I'm completely blocked out of all light.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll say I used to have a sleep mask. I lost it, unfortunately, which was a bummer. But I used to have this Swanwick sleep mask. It was voted the #1 sleep mask in the world some years ago. But it was super silky, smooth feeling. And it felt so nice. And I'll tell you, that was some of the best sleep I've ever had wearing that. Because not only did it block all the light, but it kind of hugged your face a little bit. Just put a little pressure right here on the front and made my eyes feel heavier. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going to get another one at some point.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. But we also have blackout curtains in our bedroom as well, which absolutely amazing. Doesn't necessarily allow us to quote unquote wake up with the light, with the sun, but we still wake up early enough. And we immediately, one of the first things we do in the morning is we open up the blackout curtains and bring in that light. And it's incredible. I mean, it's better than a cup of coffee.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I can wake up and from my bed, I can see, the sun coming up. I don't actually see the ball of sun coming up, but I see, just the sky getting lighter. And it's just nice to see that and then hear all the roosters making their morning hellos. And then you can hear this morning, I was listening, there was one rooster in my yard who was pretty darn loud. And he was communicating with 2 other roosters, and they were at different distances. And I could just tell by, how strongly their cock-a-doodle-doo was. But it was neat to hear that conversation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you do or have, either in your bedroom and your sleep environment or night routines, anything else that you do to help you get deeper, more restful sleep?
This isn't necessarily a night routine, but I like to make sure that I do some kind of physical activity during the day. Like today I did a small hike and a really sweet snorkel. And most days I'll work out, whether it's yoga or some aerobics online or some weight training online, just to get my body moving and getting stronger. Today I didn't because I had a very full day, but I was up early and went to the beach and had my activity there. But I like to physically tire myself out because I find when I'm not active, it's harder for me to fall asleep when I'm not active during the day.
It's a great point. I think a lot of people are chronically inactive. And I think a lot of people feel like they get enough activity, but just compared to what our bodies are adapted to doing, we are getting significantly less physical activity in our life than even just a few hundred years ago, what our ancestors were getting.
Right.
So I agree with you. It's really important. And I've definitely noticed my sleep has started to improve since I've started playing basketball almost every day. And, I lift weights and go for walks often. My girlfriend and I love to go for walks, long walks. Right. And it makes a huge difference. So I totally agree with that exerting that energy. A lot of times we go to bed with all of this energy still in our body because we've been sitting around for too much of the day. And our body's like, yo, do something. I want to move. What a blessing in life that we get to move. Right.
No kidding. No kidding. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I get to snorkel whenever I want. That's my dream life. I can snorkel and I can hike whenever I want. Well, maybe not when it's raining, but if I wanted to, I sure could. Actually. So
That's yeah. And not a, and of course, like, I don't have snorkeling available to me here very close. Like everybody has different opportunities
yeah.
for them, right? Wherever they are in this world. So like no matter where you live, there's something that you can do. Here, I love to go for walks. I live in a big city, so I can go for walks and go just see the different neighborhoods and go to the different parks. Mexico City has some amazing parks with trails. You'd be surprised It's the largest city in all of North and South America. One of the largest cities in the world. It's bigger than New York, more people than New York.
Really?
And but it has some incredible nature like built into the city and just on the outskirts of the city. So going for walks, going for hikes. I used to live in Ohio where we used to always complain that there's nothing to do, but we would climb trees or go like play sports with our friends. There's always, anywhere you live, there's an opportunity somewhere for you to get out and do some sort of physical activity, and it can be fun. It doesn't mean like boot camp, kill yourself with, overdoing it. It means having some fun and moving the body, dancing, running,
dancing.
walking,
Yes.
jumping. Yeah, right.
I love dancing. I recently climbed a tree.
Did you?
It's Ganip season. Yeah, it's Ganip season here. And the Ganips are kind of high up. And I was like, well, looking at that tree, I'm gonna get up in there. And I did.
I love that. That's
My
awesome.
parents had never had Ganips. They were visiting. I'm like, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna get these Ganips for them. And so I did.
You know what? It's been far too long since I've climbed a tree. I'm feeling
Get out there
inspired.
and do it.
I'm doing it. It's great.
Yeah, it felt
And
pretty good.
nature. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. And we kind of
Okay, cool. Cool.
blocked out or something happened.
Yeah, internet's a little funky, but that's okay. This is real life podcast.
Indeed. Exactly.
Right? Getting out into nature is so it does so many great things for our body. And that's another great way for us to kind of prepare ourselves for sleep at night. If we can get out on a hike or go to the woods or a bike trail or whatever's around you, the city park, it's okay. Just be around some trees and some plants.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to absorb that energy and to give your energy to that. Getting kind of metaphysical woo-woo here, but it's real.
And
Like if you go into
tree.
nature, hug a tree. You'll feel the life coming from it.
Mm-hmm.
Something funny that I've done. Well, other people think it's funny. I think it's fully justified and makes complete sense. If I'm on a hike somewhere, I like to walk over to a tree and put my hand on it, just flat hand on the tree, and focus on giving it loving energy. Like put my hands on it and just feel the loving energy coming from me through my palms into the tree. They're living creatures, right? And it's like loving humans. We love humans. We love our pets. But we don't realize that we can give love to the plant life around us as well, and it'll give it back. Trees give us so much, and how often do we stop and tell a tree that we love it, right? And you don't tell a tree you love it just by saying it. You tell a tree just by channeling that energy and giving it. Yeah, right? Hug a tree or put your hand on the tree, but really consciously think, like, give it that love. Give it loving energy.
Absolutely. I had a moment with a green sea turtle a couple weeks ago, and a lot of times they will swim away when the humans come around, and sometimes not. But this one, I saw it, and I just put my hand on my heart, and I said, "I come in love, and I just want to be with you. You're an amazing creature," and we spent some good quality time together, and it was just so lovely to watch this beautiful creature and just kind of commune. And I felt very blessed to have that experience.
So cool. Yeah. Every creature knows love,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every creature knows love. even if they have a weird way of showing it. Some creatures have a very strange way of showing love, but every creature knows love, and you can give love to it and it will feel that, and it makes a difference, right? But yeah, talking back to sleep, right? We kind of,
I know. I love sleeping. I'm going to show some sleep, my love.
yeah, show some love to sleep, right?
Yeah.
It feels like we're talking about it kind of felt like we went down a rabbit hole and started talking about something random, different, loving trees and having moments with animals and getting out in nature, but it's not separate. Everything's connected. You want to sleep better at night, give more love.
Yeah.
If you want to sleep better at night, feel more gratitude for the things that we have in our life.
Oh, definitely gratitude. I love gratitude as a practice. It has transformed my life. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing tool. It's just not a tool. It's not a tool. It's the way of being that just opens up and helps you to align. And it just feels so good to be so grateful, because when you see what you're grateful for more. It's kind of a beautiful domino effect in that way.
And the longer I practice gratitude, I feel it in different ways, right? One of my best friends has cerebral palsy. So he's in his late 20s and he's kind of still learning how to walk, per se. I mean, he's a badass. He can walk, but just like for periods of time, and then he needs his walker again, or he needs to sit down. But life moves a lot slower for him, and because of that friendship, over the years I've consciously thought to myself how grateful I am to have the working legs and to be able to walk and run and jump and all these things. But here's the thing that's really strange. For years, I've consciously thought how grateful I am for my legs and my ability to walk, my feet and all of that. But just the other day, actually, it might have been yesterday, I was walking to the market to get some food. And it hit me as I was walking. I just had this strong feeling erupt in my body of strong, powerful gratitude for the ability to walk. And I felt it in a way that I've never felt it before, despite logically saying that I'm grateful for being able to walk, despite writing it down in my journals, how grateful I am to walk. In that moment, I felt it so deeply and so purely in a way that I never have before. And it's just amazing to me how a gratitude practice continues to evolve over time. It's not the same, right?
Right.
I think sometimes, as even myself years ago, when I first started doing gratitude practices, I would do it for a couple days and I'd be like, okay, cool. That's nice, but it's not changing my life. Right. I still feel the same. Everything's the same despite the fact that I did this gratitude practice. So I would quickly kind of write it off as, yeah, it's good, but it's not life changing. But what I realized is it is life changing, and that gratitude practice evolves over time into this just, it's like deep wisdom inside of us that changes the way that we show up in this world and feel about this world. It's really fascinating.
It's a higher level emotion. And I believe that it really affects the energy of your heart. And it just goes out into your field and affects things that are beyond your body. And there's beautiful magic in that.
Another question that comes up it comes up quite a bit on the internet is which sleep position is best? Do you think that there's a best sleep position? Oh, okay. It's true. It's true, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think my sleep positions have changed over time. I used to be a tummy sleeper, and now I am a back and side sleeper. And so it changes, and who knows what it will be for me in a couple of years. But I think however you are most comfortable, and Tyler, I love what you said about you're in a comfy bed with your comfy pillows and your really nice sheets. It's so important to make your sanctuary. So when you go into your bedroom, you're like, oh, yes, it is time for the good sleep. And then get into whatever position is comfortable for you. And, sometimes I will find myself sleeping like this, on my back. And sometimes I'm on my side, but I'm not on my tummy anymore for whatever reason. And that used to be like my go-to when I was growing up. I remember as a teenager being like, this is it, on my tummy with my leg kind of up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I did that for so long, but yeah, now it's different. And I'm just as comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a similar experience. I remember years ago reading online that the best sleep position for the most optimal night of sleep is to sleep on your back. I remember reading that and I was like, okay, I want to optimize my sleep. I'm going to sleep on my back.
Yeah.
And I was so not used to it because I was also a tummy sleeper, side sleeper. And I can't remember for how much time, but for a period of time, I would lay on my back and try to fall asleep every night, thinking like, I'm going to get used to this. I'm going to get used to this. And I'd lay awake for an hour and a half, just sitting there trying to sleep, force myself to sleep on my back. And what I realized is that, no, that's not the best way to, maybe it's the best way to sleep if you can comfortably fall asleep easily in that position, right? But if you're not falling asleep because of the position, then it's not the best position,
Yeah.
But here's the thing, that the position that we sleep in will evolve over time if we just let it naturally happen. We don't have to force it. Like I said, I used to be a big time tummy sleeper, and that's how I got comfortable, and that was fine. But what I realized though, over time, my neck would start to feel sore, my shoulders back here would start to feel sore, and it wasn't serving me anymore. So I adapted and adjusted. I didn't consciously try to adapt and adjust. It just kind of naturally happened. And now I'm more of a side sleeper, which is great. I love it. Actually, I'm more of a side sleeper / like hugging a pillow type of sleeper. I can't fall asleep hugging my girlfriend. Like we'll spend like some time where like we'll cuddle a little bit, etc. But I can't fall asleep like that. But I can fall asleep hugging a pillow. I can squeeze it and just. But yeah, the sleep position that is best is the position that is best for you. This position where you can naturally fall asleep easiest. And if you just let it naturally go, then you'll adjust over time and you'll start feeling more comfortable in the sleep position that's most optimal for you. So again, it's a bio-individual type thing. And there's no pressure to try to force yourself to sleep in a certain way, because if that certain way is keeping you up, then it's not serving you.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about getting comfy. Wear your favorite jammies, or don't wear any jammies at all. Whatever works.
Exactly. Yeah. So we talked about our routine at night, kind of leading up to bed. We talked about our mindset and some strategies for when we actually lay down to go to sleep. And then we also talked about like, what are some things that we can do or have to get deeper, more restful sleep. One thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, and it's a very interesting thing to me, that your quality of sleep at night is very closely linked to the first things you do in the morning when you wake up. The morning routine has a huge impact on how you're going to fall asleep later that night. And so it's really important to have a little intentionality and develop a morning routine that serves you right in a specific way. And, there's a bio-individual aspect to this, right? Every person is different. Every person has different needs or wants or interests or whatever. But then there's also some very universal things that are good for every person, right? If you can wake up in the morning and get full spectrum light as early as possible, that's for everybody. That's not a bio individual thing. That signals to our circadian rhythm, to our body, that it's time to wake up, that we're not sleeping anymore. The sooner we can get that light in our eyes, that's like, I mean, it's I can't think of the word right now, but it's just like a kickstart to the day immediately.
Mm-hmm. And it releases different hormones that tell your body, like, okay, hey, we're waking up. Let's go. And I have a little mantra, sunlight before screen light. Like, definitely get that in before you pick up your phone and start looking at the news or checking your text messages. Go out there. If you can't go outside, depending on where you live, just look out the window. Take it in. I'm fortunate that I have a very outdoorsy kind of space, and I don't have a choice. The light's coming in.
Yeah. And even if you don't, I mean, I think we get good light in our apartment, but it's not exactly what you're describing that you live in, right? But there's always a way to get that light. And like I mentioned, right? Like I mentioned, when we just open our blackout curtains in the morning and let that light in the room, it's kind of shocking a little bit, because the blackout curtains work really well. They really black out all the light. And then when you open that thing up, you're like, whoa. Even if the sun's not fully up, your body's like, what is this? This is great.
Here we go.
Right. But I like to go, when I can, if the time's right, I like to go up on the roof of my building, or just if I'm, depending on where I'm living at the time. Where I'm living now, I go up on the roof of the building, but at other times I would go into the backyard or in the front yard, whatever it is. And I like to close my eyes and just look up at the sun, which, don't stare at the sun with your eyes open, of course, but with your eyes closed and you just look at the sun, your body's taking in so much powerful data from that sun, that light source, and it's giving you natural vitamin D, and it's waking you up. And the more skin that you can get light on, right? So like, I'll take my shirt off, just let the sun try to touch as much of my body as possible. It's a big indicator, a big wake up indicator to our body, but it's also, it's restarting the circadian rhythm. And if you can restart it early in the morning with the sunlight, then by the time the day ends and it's time for sleep again, it's gone through its full cycle and you're ready for sleep more naturally.
Right. Exactly.
What other things do you have in your morning routine that you feel help you wake up and kind of set the pace of the day and help you get better sleep at night?
When I actually get out of bed, like feet touch the ground, I say to myself, okay, what amazing things are going to unfold today? And that's a positive way. I feel like it opens me up to good possibilities. It sets the stage with positivity. And I like that. And then the next thing is to feed the cat. Those of you who have pets, you understand.
It's funny, but it's true, to care for something else, right?
Yeah.
Giving love to something else. I dog sat for a friend for the past week, and waking up in the morning and taking her for a walk, and that the dog, her name's Lorenza, which is funny because in Mexico, the name Lorenza, anybody out there named Lorenza, we love you. But in Mexico, there's a joke that Lorenza means like crazy. So like, está bien Lorenza. And so anytime people on the street love to stop you and ask you about your dog, like, oh, what's her name? What kind of dog is she? And I say, her name is Lorenza. And they start laughing. Es que es bien Lorenza. But caring for something, giving that dog food and taking it for a walk so it can use the bathroom and get some exercise. That's a really it goes back to what we were saying before of just giving love to the different creatures on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. And my little kitty gives me love back. She's so great. Her name is Tabitha, and she's just a precious little. I got her from the shelter here on St. John, and she never lived in a home before. She'd never had a human before, and it was a rough start for us. And but now she's my sidekick, and she's so sweet, and she's so snuggly, and she loves to talk. She's just, yeah, I love having her around. She's a funny little creature, and the people in the neighborhood like her too. Thank God, because she's an indoor-outdoor cat.
Okay.
But she's got such a sweet personality that, I mean, what's not to love that little tiny creature?
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Other things in the morning that I can mention is if you have the opportunity to get outside and be barefoot,
Yes.
let your feet touch the earth. It's a great way, such a great way to just move energy through your body and wake yourself up, gain energy naturally, feel connected to this world.
Because it does connect you
I wouldn't do
electrically
that
when
here
you
in
have your
City.
skin, your bare skin on the earth, whether it's sand or grass or gravel or water, lake if you have it, or a beach if you have it. It's just so you have a direct connection to the earth, and it is so healing. It's healing beyond what we can understand, and there have been tests about it. People relieving chronic pain from actual earthing, and also you can get earthing pads that people say help you sleep, and they are grounding pads, and you can put them on your bed, or you can put them at your feet by your desk, and they're supposed to help a lot. I didn't even think about that for sleeping, but yeah, people have reported much better sleep when they sleep with a grounded.
I actually used to have one. It was like a cover for the mattress and a pillowcase, and yeah, it made a big difference for sure. It was really nice.
Oh, right on.
I don't have it anymore, but it worked while I had it, when I did have it. What else? In the morning also, I like to stretch, move the body. So like we tend to do our stretching and exercises in the morning. I go play basketball in the mornings. Everybody at my work knows. I know not everybody like has this ability. I'm very lucky and privileged to have this ability, but I told everybody at work, you can't reach me before 10 a.m. because I'm playing basketball and exercising, and they respect it, which is really great. But yeah, if you can get some sort of movement in the morning, stretching is a great way. Also stretching before bed, going back to the nighttime routine, stretching makes me sleepy. If I get a good stretch, especially if I do myofascial, which I don't know how, like, people listening, how many people are familiar with myofascial, but it's essentially like finding the parts of your body, of your muscles that are really tight and putting pressure on it for a period of time and kind of moving to kind of release the individual muscle fibers to break them apart. That makes me really sleepy. It releases a lot of, I don't know what it really, I'm not a hormone expert, but it releases something because it makes a huge difference for me and gets that circulation going as well, which is a great way for moving energy.
And you're releasing the stress in that little pocket. And that can help to calm you down too.
So a couple more questions. We're going to wrap this up here soon. We're already at an hour and 20 minutes. That's great. Couple more questions to wrap this up, because these are things that people are actually searching for online. And I hope that this can be a resource for those people. So if somebody's searching for these questions online, hopefully we can pop up and just give them a little bit of insight on these things. One thing that people ask is how sleep affects weight loss. And I know before we started this podcast, I brought this up to you, Courtney. You made a really good point. Do you mind touching on this a little bit? How does sleep affect weight loss or weight gain?
I would say would say it affects weight gain more, because if you're not getting the sleep that your body needs, your body will find other ways to get that energy that it needs to get through the day. And that will be with quick foods, simple carbohydrates, sugars, so you can have that quick energy fix. And those things are generally highly caloric, maybe not nutrient dense. And if you've got sugar, that's just going to spike your blood sugar and make you feel worse, an hour later when you start to come down. So having a good night's sleep, you make better decisions about what you're putting in your mouth. And then you'll be able to maybe you can resist that cookie if you really don't want that cookie or really don't need that cookie. But if your body's needing that quick energy boost and that cookie's right there, bingo, it's going in your mouth. And I've been there too, like I'm so tired. What do I need to get out of this? And you probably drink more caffeine, which is going to affect your sleep later in the day too, or later at night, just to keep your energy up.
Yeah. And even if you like fight those urges and you don't eat the cookie or drink the coffee. You. Oh yeah, I'm here. So even if you're
saying something really profound.
Yeah. even if you resist that cookie or resist that coffee and you don't eat the unhealthy things, your body is still in survival mode because of the lack of sleep. And when your body goes into survival mode, it starts storing more fat because it feels like, I need to have all this fat in storage in my body in case I don't eat for a long time or in case I'm stuck in survival mode for this long time. So another thing is, even if you resist the unhealthy foods, your body's still going to be storing more fat than it typically would because it's in survival mode. So that's another thing to consider when it comes to weight loss. And as Courtney said, we make worse decisions if we're tired, and we're going to be moving less. We're going to have less physical activity in those moments as well. So it does have a profound effect on weight loss, and it makes a big difference. So Courtney, looks like our internet connection cut off. So I'm just going to send a message to Courtney and let her know I'm here still. And cool. So the last question that I have here for us to cover is how sleep affects mental health. And when you're at a deficit, at such a strong deficit, it has it does. It has a really profound effect on your mental health. Your brain isn't working at full capacity. You haven't had the ability to digest all of those thoughts and emotions that have come up over the week or days or months, whatever it is. So when you're piling all of that on top of each other day over day over day, and you're not digesting those feelings and thoughts, then it does have an effect. And you're having a hormonal imbalance as well, because your body's not repairing itself and it's not able to function at its fullest capacity. So yes, sleep does affect mental health, and it is because of those reasons. You're making worse decisions. You don't feel good. You are carrying over the baggage from your days before, and you haven't had the chance to digest and get rid of those thoughts and emotions that don't serve you. And and there's a lot of ways that it can affect you over time. So that's that. I think that our audio is cut off, and Courtney just sent me a message and said it's her bedtime. So episode about sleep, it's very important that we cut this off here and start to do our nightly routine. I'm going to go do Ama shower. The screens are going off. The salt lamps are coming on. The big lights are coming off. And I'm going to spend some time with my partner. I'm going to spend some time with myself. and really ease myself into bed. It's 6:30 my time, which gives me plenty of time. I don't have to feel like I'm in a rush to fall asleep. It gets to be a nice, smooth, easy landing until I'm sleepy enough to fall asleep, which will be right around like 9 or 9:30. So thank you all for listening. I hope that this is helpful for you. I hope that you got something from this. If you enjoy these episodes, these conversations, please leave us a review, subscribe to the show. It means a lot. Not only does it mean a lot to us, but it actually really helps us. It helps us to reach more people. It helps this show to be more successful. And I think that we're doing something good in this world. We're in the beginning stages of this still. There's so many more powerful conversations that are coming, and we really have a long-term vision for this. So if you appreciate this, if you appreciate the effort we're putting into this, please subscribe to the show, leave a review, share it with a friend. It goes a really long way. And you, the listener, are the one that makes this show successful. We're going to be consistent. We're going to keep recording every day, not every day. We're going to keep recording every week and continuing to really think about how we can bring more value to you. We're going to do our part, and we ask you, please, we don't expect you to do, we're not saying you have to do your part or any, we're just asking, please, with hat in hand, to support the show by sharing it and leaving us a review. So thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you on the next episode. Bye.